That is nerve-wracking.
What's up guys, this is John of LiquidHaus. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than normal. My buddy Ty was going to come in and we're just going to discuss and chit chat about PC hardware, what he wants to do with his system, if he's got any video games he's currently playing right now. But unfortunately his pump died last week. He knows his way around a PC, but he wanted my help just to make sure everything was done correctly. We decided to tag team the video. He does a couple parts and I do a couple parts, so hope you guys enjoy this one. See you guys next time.
So this is the tool that we use to delid my 6700K processor. It was printed on my Prusa i3 knockoff 3D printer, which prints with the FDM model layer by layer of plastic printed in green ABS. This particular model will delid Kaby Lake and Skylake CPUs. The IHS side of the CPU, when it was together, snaps into that side, and of course when it was attached, the PCB side sat like that. And then when we put it in the vise, it slowly pushed up until it pushed the PCB off of the IHS. And this is my delidded chip. Alright, so what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to use our isopropyl alcohol and we're going to clean off some of the old thermal material as well as the black adhesive that goes around the edge of the CPU. And what's interesting, if you haven't seen a delidded CPU before, the silver part in the middle is actually the only thing the CPU is. The rest is just the PCB that connects it to the computer and everything else. So the whole part that does the thinking is the little silver bit in the middle. So right now we're just applying alcohol to all the edges to help soften up that adhesive and clean it off. Okay, so now we've got the bulk of our IHS cleaned up, we've cleaned up the surface, and then we are ready to go ahead and reattach the two, but we'll go ahead and get the system over here so we can lay it in here to put them back together. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and place the chip in the socket. We're going to make sure that the notches line up and that the triangle's on the spot where it's supposed to be. And then we'll go ahead and put the liquid metal paste on it, which I got from Mod My Mods, which I know is a good partner here with LiquidHaus. And we will go ahead and get that paste on there, spread it around a bit, and then we can get our IHS lined up. Okay, so we've got a bead on there now, so let's go ahead and spread it around a little bit. So we can make sure it's going to make nice even contact with everything. Okay, now that we've got our liquid metal applied and mostly spread out, we're going to go ahead and install our IHS onto the chip itself. We're just going to carefully set it down, and then we'll go ahead and start to move our latch into position. Okay, so now we have our IHS reinstalled with liquid metal under the lid. So if you remember what the actual die of the chip looks like, basically you just want to put thermal paste centered right over that. And then when we put the water block on, it'll squish down a little bit and spread out over more of the heat spreader. Alright, so that's a good amount there. So we'll go ahead and get the water block installed. And then, so the block I have right now is the XSPC raised arm. We'll go ahead and set that on there, making sure the in and the out's on the right side. But I'm not a huge fan of how it looks, but I've had it for a long time. Actually thinking might follow John's style and go with the heat killer here in the near future. So what I'm doing right now is I'm starting each of the screws just a little bit. Then once I've got them all started, we'll slowly tighten them in a cross pattern so it applies even pressure to the CPU, which is especially important with the way we have the IHS mounted currently. Okay, so just finishing up tightening the last couple springs here to make sure we've got good mounting pressure. And that's that. We've got our CPU installed, our water block back on. We've just got to reattach a couple more of the lines here, get my pump and reservoir back in, and this piece will be back up and running.
Hey guys, it's John here. Let's have a little conversation about D5 pumps. One of the reasons we're doing this slight upgrade video is because last week Ty's pump, it was actually starting to grind, and I had a feeling on why it was happening because I've seen it before. The reason, it's very specific, but the reason is because there's a little cup inside this impeller that this ceramic ball sits in, and when they start to grind, it's because the cup slowly erodes and causes the axis to kind of go off balance and causes a shearing effect inside the pump housing. The pumps only last a little bit longer when that happens, but it's good to swap it out as soon as you can, as soon as you hear the grinding in the pump. If left unattended, the pump will start to pretty much disintegrate and you'll get a full shearing effect throughout the entire wall of the pump housing, and you'll get tiny metal shavings inside your entire loop. That's not good. Another good thing about this pump swap that we're going to be doing today is he just has a basic model D5. This one's actually by AlphaCool. But when I say basic, I mean it's got a simple Molex plugin with an RPM signal cable, and that goes directly into the motherboard, and that will just simply give you an RPM on what the pump is spinning at. And you can modulate the speed with this little dial in the back. It's very basic, and I actually have two of them in my system. Mine's a little bit different though. I have wired mine into a 3-pin plug, and they run on my fan controller, which is a Lamtron CW611. The fan controller's got plenty of headroom for wattage, so I have two D5s plugged into each channel. I just have the dial set at 5, and because of that I can modulate the voltage on the fan controller to adjust the speed. But the better pumps are the PWM, and that's what we're going to be using today to swap into Ty's system. The power still is delivered from the power supply directly through Molex, but the speed is adjusted through motherboard software by plugging this into the CPU fan header. Hopefully in the future I can get my hands on AlphaCool's newly designed D5 pump that they have recently come out with, I would say about 6 months ago. It's called the VPP755. It's got a completely redesigned one-piece bearing. I'm really excited to start using them in my channel and in my systems. The only thing about them is they have a slightly higher collar, and so you can't use older D5 pump tops on these new pumps. So with that being said, let's swap these pumps.